too a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from Metropolis to the Tomb of Archimedes and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me as always is Steve Haller. What's up and away, Steve?
Wow. Bravo.
Like that? That just came to me as I said it. Just came to me.
So we missed the What's Up Danger for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but we got that one. So
What's Up Danger?
I think you're rolling in it, man.
I might just do that now every time we're kicking things off with a Superman thing. Maybe I'll
there you
try
go.
to do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we've got two lead-ins, and as soon as you hear them, you'll know exactly what we're talking about first.
That's right. We've got a good amount of DC stuff for you tonight. We've got I over this past weekend saw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Steve has not seen it, so we're not going to do a full spoiler reaction, but I am going to give my spoiler-free review and reaction to it a little bit later. We're talking trailer for Dune Part 2, some Fantastic Four shakeup, some comics news as always. But we're going to kick things off with a very short update on the strike. Writers Guild, a strike still going on, still in full force. No movement there. The Screen Actors Guild negotiations were supposed to expire on Friday, June 30th at midnight, and those negotiations have been extended now through July 12th. So midnight, July 12th is when we'll find out whether or not the Screen Actors Guild will be joining the Writers Guild in a strike. So got to wait a little bit over a week, a little more than a week and a half or so to find that out. But that's that. And I don't know if extending it, I don't know if that means negotiations are going well or they're going poorly.
Maybe
Any
both.
indication?
Don't really know.
No idea. Like, is it like we're going good? We've agreed to a lot of stuff. We just have a couple more sticking points. Let's just extend it about another week and a half and see what we can do. Or is it like, this isn't working, but we don't want you guys to strike, but let's just give it some more time and see what
Right. Is it a last ditch? Like, hey, let's push this off one more time and see.
Yeah. Or we're really close. No need to strike. Let's just keep talking,
Right.
Who knows?
Because if that happens, everything under the sun will be at a screeching halt.
Everything. Yep. Wild.
It's hard enough to do things without people writing. It's its own animal to do it without people acting.
Yeah. I know, for sure. Moving into some proper news. And this was probably the biggest piece of news that happened this past week.
100%.
I'm sure if you're running in these circles, you definitely heard this. But Superman Legacy has found its leads. Those leads are cast as Clark Kent Superman, David Corenswet, with Rachel Brosnahan as his Lois Lane. Very excited about both of these choices. I've seen David Corenswet in exactly one thing, and I barely remember his performance.
That's one thing more than I have.
Yeah, but I know a few people that have seen that same performance and have said that as soon as they saw him, thought that guy should play Superman. So here he is. He's playing Superman. A friend of mine texted me as soon as he read the news saying that exact thing. He's like, yeah, I saw him in Pearl, and I thought he should be Superman. Like, well, you got your wish, buddy.
Yeah.
And Rachel Brosnahan, I just love. As soon as I heard her name attached to Lois Lane, I thought immediately, oh, she's somebody that was born to play this role. I feel, there's certain castings in superhero movies that are, that people say are perfect. People point to Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, obviously.
Right.
Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. These people were born to play these roles.
Right. People point to Robert Downey Jr. playing himself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So So, we're 2 years away from this movie coming out, but I mean, based on her performance in Marvelous Miss Maisel, it's pretty easy to say that she seems like she may have been born to play Lois Lane.
Yeah.
So, very, very excited about her. It was said that she gave the best audition out of anybody, from both people, from men and women, looking for Clark, looking for Lois. Her audition was far and beyond the best. I guess screen tests took place over a few days past week when all actors that were in consideration tested in person before James Gunn and Peter Safran in full costume and in full makeup. That includes, yes, the men were dressed in the full Superman costume for the screen tests. And we just talked about last week how the rumor was that they were probably going to have their people found by the end of the week, but they were going to hold off the announcement until Comic-Con. Why did they not wait for Comic-Con? Apparently, these actors had signed testing deals. I don't know what that means. I think apparently something you have to do, I guess, when you're testing for a role. And those testing deals expired after 2 weeks, and so they wanted to break the news before those deals expired and before any possibility of a Screen Actors Guild strike. This was before we knew that the deadline was getting extended. That was just talked about. So they wanted to get this stuff out of the way, and it turns out, just to jump a story, it turns out that DC Studios will not be attending San Diego Comic-Con. In response to a fan question on Instagram, James Gunn said that they would not be there this year, probably going to be there next year, although both DC Comics and Marvel Comics will have panels and booths and a presence at San Diego Comic-Con, just not the film studios for Marvel and DC.
Bringing the comics back to Comic-Con, like.
Yeah, what a crazy, crazy idea.
Unheard of.
Unheard of. So anyway, that's why they had to break the news before possibility of Screen Actors strike, and I guess whatever these testing deals are, they had to be done before that. So apparently next casting we're going to hear for Superman Legacy is probably Lex Luthor, possibly Jimmy Olsen. James Gunn has talked about Jimmy Olsen being in the script, and Perry White. Now there's rumors Nicholas Hoult, the character, was rumored to be in the running for Superman, testing for Superman. But there's also rumors that they just had him come in to act against these other actors because they were looking at him for Lex Luthor. And there was talk that he actually removed himself from consideration for Lex Luthor to focus on being cast as Superman. But if someone's saying, hey, we want you to be Lex Luthor in the new Superman franchise, why would you say no to that?
Right.
Do it. You should do that.
If you've got a seat at the table for any of these roles, take them.
Yeah. There's also, I just heard this rumor on the Hot Mic podcast with Jeff Snyder and John Roca that Nicholas Hoult possibly either in consideration for Lex Luthor or in consideration for the DCU's Bruce Wayne Batman. We know that Nicholas Hoult was he was a finalist to be Batman in The Batman and lost out to Robert Pattinson. Are they still keeping him around because they're looking at him as the DCU Batman? I don't know. Could be, but I don't know. I kind of want. I prefer the DCU Batman to look more to just be kind of different. Nicholas Hoult and Robert Pattinson, not super dissimilar looking people or actors.
One's the less broody version of the other.
Yeah,
and throw glasses on.
And I mean, I want and I believe that the DCU's Batman is going to be less broody and less dark than the Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves version of the character, just because you have to differentiate the
Mike,
franchises.
You're saying this as if it could be more brooding and dark than Pattinson's Batman. The next step is him slitting his wrists on screen. Yeah. That's the only direction he can go that way.
I will mind you, the end of that movie ended on a positive, him learning that he can be a beacon of hope for the people.
True. Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay.
But the first 3/4 of that movie.
Oh, yeah. But I will also remind you, that movie rules.
Oh, it's amazing.
rules. I just started rewatching it the other night, and I was like, why don't I watch this every day? This movie is so good. I love it so much. It's great. Anyway, interesting there. I would like the DCU Batman just to be like different some way.
Yeah.
I assume they're going with a white dude. I feel like Bruce Wayne has to be white. And I don't think Batman has to be white. I think Bruce Wayne has to be white. And before you start thinking that I'm a horrible racist person, I will defend that by saying the following. Bruce Wayne as a character is soaked in white privilege. He is a billionaire, and he's not like a new money,
Right.
like tech billionaire. His money comes family money. He's come from old money. And the only old money billionaires are white people. Because,
America has a really shitty past.
America, exactly. We know it. Yeah, because America. No black person was afforded the opportunities to be an old money billionaire at all. So I think white privilege is steeped in the character of Bruce Wayne, and therefore he should be white. Almost any other character in the Batman mythos could be any race ever. So other than Bruce Wayne being a white dude, I would like the Batman of the DCU to be somewhat different, to separate himself from Robert Pattinson. I think they probably know that. James Gunn is smart enough to know they're going to have two Batman going at the same time. You got to switch it up somehow.
Well, I guess
Anyway,
along those lines, do they, if we're going down that rabbit hole, do you go with Bruce Wayne? Or do you go complete curveball and go Tim Fox?
Wow. That would be a curveball. That would be a curveball.
Complete 180.
Yeah.
And very unexpected and very James Gunny.
It would be. And I mean, I will say, I don't think they're going to do this. But they keep saying this Brave and the Bold movie is based on Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin run. And in that run, this part people don't say, in that run, Bruce Wayne is not Batman. In that run, Dick Grayson is Batman in that run.
Did not know that. I learned something today.
I know. Because no one talks about that part. They're like, oh, it's based on Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin one. Yeah, while Bruce Wayne was quote unquote dead and Dick had to step up and be Batman. So
okay.
That would be a shock. I can't imagine that they would do that. Having one live action Robin ever, having it be the only live action, I can't say the only Dick Grayson because of the Titan show, but in like films, we've gotten one live action Robin, got one live action Nightwing.
Chris O'Donnell is the
show.
only live action Robin we've ever gotten
In a film.
Really?
Well, sorry. Burt Ward played Robin in
Batman
the movie opposite Adam West. So
modern Batman.
So in 85 years,
yes,
we've gotten 2 theatrical live action Robins. And they were decades apart. And the last one was in 1997. And we haven't seen one since. Yeah. So.
Right.
But we did get a Jason and a Jason and a Tim on Titan also.
Right.
So we got 2 Robins there and a Nightwing. But anyway, I don't think the Batman of Brave and the Bold is going to be Dick Grayson. I think that they are going to do Bruce Wayne.
No, but I'm now intrigued. Also Adam said it, so go for it. Apparently, I say intrigued way too much. So that's one of our friends' cues for a drinking game. But yeah, doing any of the alternate Batmans would be it'd be a wild swing.
A wild swing. But and the amount that James Gunn has talked about how much he loves Nightwing as a character. Yeah. I can't imagine that they're gonna use Nightwing. They're not gonna use Dick Grayson as Batman. Yeah, exactly.
Nightwing is such a good character.
So good. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
I hope that they're doing that. And that bums me out. Speaking of that, jumping back to the San Diego Comic-Con thing for a second, like, it bums me out that DC's not going to Comic-Con just because I really felt like James Gunn has only announced half of their slate for DC, for their chapter 1 of the DC slate. What better way to announce the other 50% than at San Diego Comic-Con? But whatever, I'm not doing it this year. The other rumors that were reported on the Hot Mic podcast about casting for Superman Legacy were for the character of Perry White. 2 names apparently are being rumored. So grain of salt. This is grain of salt stuff. Rumored for the role of Perry White. Michael Rooker, who is in every James Gunn movie ever. Also, maybe someone said that he might be in consideration for Pa Kent. I don't know that Rooker is like...
No, I could see him definitely more as Perry.
He's more Perry than he doesn't have like the Southern charm wholesomeness.
No.
You know what I mean? Like the loving.
He's got the not quite J. Jonah Jameson thing going on.
Exactly. But the other person apparently being rumored for Perry White, Brendan Fraser.
Huh.
They owe him something after canceling Batgirl.
True.
They owe him something. I don't know. I love Brendan Fraser. I don't know if I love him as Perry White. I think he would do good if he was cast. I think he would be good.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I would prefer to see him as, but I feel like I'd prefer to see him as something.
Yeah, I would almost prefer, if it was the choice between the two, I'd almost prefer Rooker as White.
Perry
but
White. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would love for them to not cancel Doom Patrol and have Brendan Fraser keep being Robot Man on Doom Patrol, but that's too late.
He's absolutely slated as, like, that was amazing.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Cool choices. And who knows when we'll hear about those castings, if the strikes affect... I don't know, does screen actors going on strike, does that affect whether or not they can screen test for things or audition for things? It probably does, right?
I would assume so. That's part of the job.
Yeah. It's got to be part of it. All right.
American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. I always wondered what the AFTRA was.
Yeah, me too.
I knew it was the TV part, and I had no idea like what, because they merged, and now I know. All right.
Now you know. Now the world knows, Steve. Thanks to you. You've uncovered it. Speaking of DC Comics, I'm excited about this. Max, not HBO Max. Don't even think about calling it HBO Max. It's not called that anymore. It's called Max. All right? Okay? Max has announced a new documentary on DC called Superpowered, the DC Story. It is a 3-part docuseries about the origins, legacy, and influence of DC from comics to TV to movies. Features interviews with comic creators like Jim Lee, Mark Waid, John Ridley, Paul Levitz. Sorry, I don't know why I stumbled over that name. It's a very easy name to say.
I was going to say, you've had some trouble with a lot of names on this podcast. That was not one of them that you should.
That's not one of them. I think it's because I said Ridley, and then for some reason I questioned whether or not I said it right. And so I was reading Ridley while I had already said Paul. And so that's a whole weird brain thing. Barbara Freelander and Phil Jimenez. Also, a lot of people from the TV or film side of things, including James Gunn himself, Patty Jenkins, Dwayne Johnson, David Lindelof, Michael Uslan. And this is a 3-part documentary series that premieres on July 20th on Max. You gotta think that both Patty Jenkins and Dwayne Johnson filmed their parts for this documentary before the last few months. I gotta say.
Yeah, this one might have been, just coming off of 84 and just coming off of Black Adam. And...
Well, just coming out of being told they weren't going to move forward with your Wonder Woman 3 script.
Yeah.
And being told we're not going to do any Black Adam stuff, and you're the reason that everyone got excited that Henry Cavill came back and then coming back anymore. pretty sure they would not have sat down to sing the praises of DC recently, within the last 6 months or so. This is I'm very excited for this because I like documentaries in general, and documentary like this about something that I love, I feel like it's going to be cool. And I like that when there's a trailer, you can watch the trailer for it. And the trailer led off with, I think, James Gunn and Patty Jenkins and a lot of these like film producer people. And I was like, okay, if they don't have comic people in this, I'm going to be furious. And I was like, oh, Mark Waid. Oh, John Ridley. Okay, they're covering their bases here for sure. Jim Lee.
This Jim Lee guy? Oh, weird.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. Real quick, I mentioned the name Michael Uslan. Steve, do you know who Michael Uslan is?
The name rings a bell, but not a loud one.
I'm going to tell this story because I just heard it recently on the podcast and I was not aware of it. I knew this guy's name because he's a producer on like every Batman movie. And I was like, okay, he just clearly is like a Hollywood producer guy who, first Tim Burton one, and he just keeps coming back because he knows the character or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how he got involved. This is how he got involved. Okay, so Michael Uslan, when he was in college a long time ago, I don't know how old he is, but he's a lot older than you and me.
72.
Wow. Even older than I expected. Anyway, he was a big fan of comics, and he pushed his literary professor or something so hard on comic books that they created a class on like modern comic books. Like he convinced the people at the college and his professors that like, no, this is a legitimate medium. Like, look what they're doing. Look at Dark Knight Returns or look at this or whatever. Like, this is like real political stuff, and there should be a class on this. So whatever school it was at, gets the class. And it's a story that, shows up in, magazines and paper. Like, isn't this like cool? This kid loves comics so much that now they're teaching this class at, NYU or whatever college. I don't remember what college it was.
Indiana University School of Law in Bloomington.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
Yeah. So anyway, because of that, he ends up working. I'm sure it's a long story short. Because of that class and the notoriety he gained from that, he ends up working at DC Comics. I think he ends up writing a couple books. The whole time he's working at DC, he starts pushing the higher ups. This is probably in like the late 70s, early 80s. He starts pushing the higher ups. We got to make a Batman movie. Like Superman, Christopher Reeve, huge success. We need to make a Batman movie, and not an Adam West Batman movie. We need to make a for real, take it seriously Batman film. And this is insane to think this now. He's like the only one pushing this. He's the only one at DC Comics pushing to make a movie. So he goes out and he gets like an investor or something. It was like a wealthy friend of his family or something, got some money. Using this promise of this investor and like a producing partner that he has, he convinces DC to license the rights for Batman in a theatrical sense to him. This guy, Michael Uslan, owns the theatrical rights to Batman as a character, and his company is called like the Batman Film Production Company or something like that. Like, it's insane.
That's crazy.
So this guy is a producer on every single live action Batman movie. It doesn't matter who the director is or what Robert Pattinson versus George Clooney versus Michael Keaton versus Val Kilmer versus Christian Bale. This guy gets money from every single one of those movies because he started the Batman film studio or whatever. And so technically DC licenses Batman to this guy and his studio to make Batman movies. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. You want to know something else crazy?
Yeah, I do.
He got his start at DC film production working on Swamp Thing and the Return of Swamp Thing.
Oh, nice.
And then won a daytime Emmy for Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego?
What?
Yeah. Yep. And
what
also,
a guy. I love this guy.
also created, and this is a throwback, I don't know if you'll remember it, Dino Saucers, the 80s
Nope.
cartoon. Oh, it was great.
I don't
it
think
was
so.
it was horribly amazing.
You had me
Anthropomorphic
up
dinosaurs.
until Dino Saw. You had me, and then you added that Sirs at the end, and you lost me.
Yep. And was an executive producer on National Treasure. So we'll get you back for that.
Oh, okay. So not just Batman movies.
No.
Mostly Batman movies he's producing.
Yeah, all of the Batman-ness, but also some other smatterings.
That's just crazy to me that one dude he's like the funnel for all Batman theatrical content. It's crazy.
He also won an Inkpot in 2012.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
So,
Sure.
yeah, cool.
Think about how much he's done for comics and whatever in general. Very last DC story for the night. Just today, Warner Brothers Japan announced a Suicide Squad anime series called Suicide Squad Isekai. I think is how you pronounce that. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Suicide Squad Isekai features Harley Quinn, Amanda Waller, and the Joker and others in, quote, an epic and violent fantasy where crazy villains go on a rampage in Isekai. It's nothing more, nothing less, and it can't be anything else. I like that tagline. That's very like Silver Age tagline.
And the trailer lives up to it.
Yeah, it does. It's a wild trailer. It's pretty short, and there's no dialogue, but it's definitely in that anime style. Can't tell if Harley and Joker are made to be, if this is like a origin story for their relationship or it's a revenge thing. I can't, just one real quick shot of Amanda Waller. I didn't really see any other characters that I recognized. It's being directed by Eric Osada and written by Takeaki and Eiji Umehara. Isekai apparently is a Japanese word that means another world. And it's looked on as a genre, its own genre in the world of anime, and apparently has become a very popular one recently. So people are very excited about. So it's basically Suicide Squad, but takes place in like another world where you don't have to abide by the laws of comics continuity or movie continuity or anything like that, and you can just do whatever you want. So, so that's cool. So yeah, fans of anime, check it out. It looks good.
Yeah.
I'm not you and I have talked about, we're not huge anime fans, but we like what we see kind of when we see it often.
Right. It's
I don't know.
Using what was it, the Supreme Court's definition of pornography, you know it when you see it. Like
you know it when you see it. Exactly.
If I enjoy anime, I know it when I see it. Like I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it, but like stuff in that art style, if it's compelling, I'm all for it. About 50-ish% of Star Wars Visions was great.
Yeah, I still am working my way through that. Taking me a while, but because I think, I don't know. I think I'm at the end of season 1 still, and I really want to get to season 2 because season 2 looked great. Have you seen season 2?
What I've seen of season 2 has been better than season 1.
All right,
and I enjoyed a good half of season 1. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm not enjoying it.
Oh no,
just sometimes they're like slow moving.
You know what? It reminds me a lot of the Clone Wars, where the highs were really high and the lows were really low.
Yeah, sure. Classic Star Wars content right there.
Yeah,
that's
literally
Star
any Star
Wars
Wars
across the board. Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of Lucasfilm, speaking of high highs and low lows.
Yeah, I was gonna say it works for this franchise too.
It does. I saw a movie called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I went on Thursday night with my mom. It was great.
That's awesome.
She hadn't been to a theater, I think, since before COVID. She was very excited.
I thought you were going to say since the last Indiana Jones movie.
No.
It's like
she
that just
seen
soured
the last Indiana Jones movie.
Okay.
So
well,
there were a couple of references. There were a couple of references to it. I had to be like, okay, well, this one. That's what they're talking.
Sounds like the last time I went to the movie with my 5-year-old, where I had to do that about everything.
Yeah. Spider-Verse? Me too. Yeah.
Like, all right, buddy. Here's how this happened.
Yeah. I know like early on, like early before it came out, the reviews of it were like mixed. Some mixed to positive, some like this is terrible. I even like a couple days before I went to see it, I read somebody on, I don't know who it was, could have just a random person on Twitter, just said like it's only 2 more days until the world finds out what a giant load of shit the new Indiana Jones movie is. And I was like, oh, damn, wish I didn't read
Great.
that. Steve, I really liked this movie. I
Nice.
really did. Like, genuinely liked this movie. I don't really see. I can see people being like, it's all right. I can't really see people hating this movie. Like, it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. It's better than Crystal Skull, for sure. It is
I know it had to be said, but that's not really moving the
a
needle.
low
Mike.
bar. It's a low bar. You know what? I don't think I said this on the show. I recently rewatched Crystal Skull. First hour of Crystal Skull, I think pretty solid Indiana Jones movie. Like there's stuff that doesn't work still. It's not until like after an hour that it starts going off the rails. I think.
Yeah.
And then the ending is atrocious. The ending is terrible.
Right.
Terrible.
Yeah, there were some points where you're like, this has the potential to be a decent movie, and then it just fails on all those accounts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the reason that Crystal Skull doesn't work for me, the second half of Crystal Skull, is because it becomes so CGI heavy, and particularly good CGI. So it really takes me out of it. There's clearly a ton of CGI in this movie. This is one of the most expensive movies ever made. Do you know that? This cost
Really?
almost $300 million to make this movie.
Oh no, I actually saw a report that that was a misreport, and the number is actually 329.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so definitely one. Wow.
Yeah. Was reading something this morning where I was like, okay.
That's insane. Oh my god. And I'm laughing because the movie's not doing well.
Right.
I think it's made $60-70 million as of this weekend. That's so low.
Especially for a movie that cost that
much money. But like, hey, like reviews were like meh, and it's a franchise starring an 80-year-old man that hasn't had an entry since 2008, and the one before that was in like 1993. Like, and there hasn't been any other Indiana Jones content out there. Like, young people don't care about Indiana Jones. That's just true. That's just true. So like, people like you and me, our friends, we're excited to go see it, talk about it, and compare it to the other ones. Like, this is not a thing that Gen Z is excited about at all.
Right.
I'm sure there's some movie buffs that are, younger that are going, but not enough of them because this movie is bombing. And like I said, it's not bad. It's not bad. It looks different. It doesn't look like a Spielberg movie, which you knew. But, James Mangold's no slouch. He knows what he's doing. Some of the action is, I don't know. Sometimes you can see like, oh, Spielberg would have done this, would have looked more grandiose or something like that.
Right.
I don't know. It didn't really take me out of it. I wasn't thinking like, well, how would Steven Spielberg shoot that? When I was watching it, I was just like enjoying it. So the action, people are saying the action's a little muddy. I can see that, but again, I didn't really notice it.
No, but Mangold's always been one to kind of focus more on the, if there's action, for it to be tight action compared to the grandiose.
Sure.
I mean, look at Logan.
True. Yeah.
There was a lot of action in that movie.
Yeah, up close and personal. I really loved Phoebe Waller-Bridge, her character.
Okay.
I thought she was great. I thought the way that they, she's kind of like, in a way, the catalyst for the story of the film, which makes it work when you have a main character who is 80 years old in real life. He's like an old man. In the movie, he's an old man. He's an old man in real life. So it's kind of hard to, if you step back, and you and I were making jokes like this when they, announced this movie or started filming this movie, like, why is an 80-year-old guy going into a cave for any reason? Like, what is happening here? They do it in a way that made sense for me. It made sense to cover his, not cover, but like acknowledge the age of the guy playing this character.
Yeah.
And not in a way where they like depower him or make him weaker, less intelligent, or nothing like that. I just can't really get into it without like saying too many spoilers. The de-aging on Harrison Ford is really good. It's really good.
Nice.
That opening scene, it's probably 20, 25 minutes. Like, it's a long opener. It's a long opening action scene. And, you know, Indiana Jones famous for its opening action scenes, and this is a good one for sure. But it's lengthy,
Yep.
and he looks like he's 40 the whole time. I gotta say, there's a couple times. There were a few times when it looked a little video gamey, but for the most part, it's probably the best de-aging I've ever seen, especially when you consider the length of time. Like, it's not like Ant-Man where Michael Douglas looks like he's 25 for like 2 minutes or something, and then
Right.
you know, it's out, and then it's present day. This is a lengthy scene. I will say one thing. I don't consider this a spoiler. You can de-age a face. You cannot de-age a voice.
Mm.
So when he looks like he's 35 or 40 years old, and then he starts talking, and it is 79-year-old Harrison Ford, it doesn't match, and you can tell. And
yeah.
that took me out of it a little bit.
That was the James Earl Jones doing the Vader and Rebels for me.
Yes.
Where as soon as I heard, I was like, you see him interacting with Ahsoka, and he should be younger, and then you hear James Earl Jones at 90 almost, maybe, when he was doing
He's 90
that.
now. I don't know if he was when he did that.
Right.
I think he's 90s now, but yeah. And same with Rogue One, I thought.
Right.
You could tell. So it took me out of, it didn't take me out of the movie, but I noticed it. So, like, it was enough for me to notice it. I don't know if people that are not looking for it would notice it, but the de-aging itself is very good. The story is really good. Again, I said I like Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. Mads Mikkelsen is great, and he's great in everything. Boyd Holbrook is his little like sidekick guy. He didn't have a ton to do, but you know, he's doing his Boyd Holbrook,
Right. Being Boyd
snarky,
Holbrook. Yeah.
intimidating henchman kind of guy.
Still his best role though was Sandman.
Yeah, I forgot he was in Sandman. I thought you were gonna say Logan again, but yeah, Sandman.
Oh no, great in Logan. Sandman was
Yeah.
a different level.
I agree. You know who's in this movie that I forgot was in this movie? Antonio Banderas is in this movie.
Huh. And now that you say that, I remember it. But
Yeah.
like, I remember talking about it, but completely forgot that one.
Yeah. Light spoiler. He's not in it a ton, to the point where I was surprised that he agreed to be in this movie for this role. I was like, that's it? He's gone.
Do you know why, Mike?
No more?
329 million.
Yeah. Right? That's what I'm saying. You got to save some of that money. Or there are more scenes on the cutting room floor somewhere
Right.
of his character. Or he was just like, hell yeah, I'll be in Indiana Jones movie. That'd be great. I would, if I was him. So I get that too. Anyway, he was good. I don't know. I just like this movie a lot. I will say, wrapping things up, the ending, third act, takes a big swing. It takes a big swing.
Okay.
And I will say, in scope, it's not dissimilar to the size of the swing taken by Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where at the end he's standing in a alien spacecraft, watching an alien vaporize the mind of Kate Blanchett's character. So, and then they escape that and they watch the flying saucer take off and fly away. Insane. So it's comparable in size, I think, to that swing that they took in Crystal Skull. This worked for me 1,000 times better. It was still a little weird, but I just went with it. That's my advice. My advice to anyone who wants to see this movie, just go with it. Just let it happen. Don't fight it. That's just what it is. It's what's happening. Go with it. It works for me because for me, things like flying saucers, science fiction, future space technology, whatever, that does not fit in Indiana Jones movie. It just doesn't feel like the same. Indiana Jones is an adventure genre, adventure film series. It's not a sci-fi film series. So when you suddenly insert sci-fi elements into Indiana Jones, it just doesn't feel right.
Right.
This idea more connected to who Indiana Jones is as a person. And that's all I will say. So that made it work. That sold it more for me, for sure. So there's a big swing in the third act. The ending of this movie is a great. I found it to be emotional, not like weeping, sad, but just like made me really, really happy the way they ended this movie and effectively ended the story of Indiana Jones in general. So I want to see it again because I feel like while I was watching it, I was like, this is pretty good. And then thinking about it later, I was like, I think I really loved that movie. So I need to see it again now to see if I'm just romanticizing it. But I definitely don't think it's bad. I definitely don't.
Right.
I get why people hate it just because, there's people that don't like,
There's people that don't like
Temple of
anything.
Doom. Yeah, people don't like anything. Anyway, but like we said before, all Indiana Jones movies are debatable to some people. And this, I think this is a very fitting ending to the character, and I wish it was doing better at the box office. But what are you going to do? Do you plan to see Indy 5 or try to?
I want to see it.
Yeah.
Life with 5 years.
I mean, in the theaters, I assume.
Oh
that's-
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, I mean, it's an indie movie. That's like the way you
Right.
should see it. But
Yeah.
Life with a 5-year-old is Life with a 5-year-old. We
Sure
went on
is.
a stretch where we saw like 6 movies in 3 weeks, and now have not seen
Yeah.
anything in like a month. I'm like, okay, cool. That's how that works.
Hey, tangent real quick though. I heard a very positive early reaction to the Ninja Turtle. Mutant
Oh,
Ninja Turtle
nice.
movie. So speaking of movies, you're bound to see with your son.
So I was going to bring that up in comics, but since you brought up Ninja Turtles,
Oh, let's do it.
the Saturday morning cartoon revisited comic minis that they're running,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Like
Really?
he's latched onto them and is running with them.
Oh, great.
Like the first 2 issues are out, and he's just like, yeah, this is great. Like, can we
Awesome.
do more Ninja Turtles? I'm like, there's only 2 out, dude. There's only 2
Yeah.
out,
Oh,
and
I'll have
I'm
to,
not giving him the last Ronin.
Right. No, I'll have to grab them. We got a free comic book. There's a Turtles free comic book day thing
Yeah.
this past year, and I read that with my son, and he liked it. He
Nice.
went and he's seen the trailer a couple times. But I feel like in a week he went from not saying he doesn't know anything about the Ninja Turtles to being able to name all 4 of them and like their colors. So he's brushing up, he's boning up
Nice.
before the movie.
As is standard, my son's favorite turtle is, of course, Michelangelo, because, well, he's a 5-year-old kid, and it's
Of course.
so the way they did this Saturday morning cartoons revisited is in the vein of what we grew up with,
Yeah.
of the '89 cartoon.
Mhm.
So it's like the over the top pizza, cowabunga, whole nine. So
Nice.
it's what you remember.
That's how you get those kids.
Oh,
That's how
yeah.
you get those kids in the door. That's working. And it looks like Seth Rogen knows that too with
Yeah.
his new movie coming out.
100%.
Speaking of new movies coming out, we got a new trailer for Dune Part 2. Dune
We
Part
do.
2, sequel to Dune.
Second half of the original Dune book.
Yes. Yeah, it's just the one book they're covering. I forget. That's right.
Yep. So it did. I don't know if it was really widely advertised, but it did come out that Denis Villeneuve is or has acknowledged that they're making it a trilogy, and that
Oh.
they are adapting Dune Messiah as the 3rd movie,
I
which is the 2nd book.
had not known that.
After the
Didn't know
2nd book, it gets real weird. So
Okay.
it's probably better for the general public that they stop where they do. But yeah,
So they took the first book is 2 movies.
Yep.
But the second book is going to be 1 movie.
that's what
As
it
someone
sounds
that-
like.
Okay, so as someone who has not read any of them, do you think it's appropriate to squeeze the second book into 1 movie?
I
when they
don't
had
know, as
split the
I've
first
never
one.
read Messiah.
Oh, you haven't? Okay,
Nope,
I guess
I've
I
only
should
read
be-
the first one. So
Oh, okay. I've
Read 'em
a
multiple
graphic
times,
Novel
but-
I've only read a graphic novel adaptation of the first quarter of the first book,
nice.
more or less. That was my attempt to get to know the story before the movie came. And I was like, "Ooh, okay.
It's like, well, I watched the
Um,
movie and that was fun, so we'll go with that.
What do you think of this trailer for Dune Part 2?
I thought it made me extremely excited to see Dune Part 2, and
Nice. Yeah.
felt very much in vein with what we'd gotten in Part 1, as well as what the rest of the book goes into. So it's there's going to be a lot more conflict. There's going to be a lot more craziness and weirdness, and a lot more Christopher Walken. So
Yeah, it was. I don't know the last time I saw Christopher Walken in a movie, but he still got that presence, man.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not phoning it in.
no, and
Just there's like a shot of his face at first, and then he gets like a line later in the trailer, and just his face, I was like, oh shit,
oh
there
yeah,
he is.
you could have
Yeah.
had him not say a single word in that trailer, and it just would have been like, okay, he's still got the presence.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Just that shot of his face, it's like, oh, I forgot he's in this.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And he is Emperor Shaddam IV, who is effectively just, I mean, he's the emperor.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
I mean,
Cool.
slightly less maniacal, over the top, but
Yeah.
you know, he rules the galaxy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited for Dune Part 2. I enjoyed the first movie enough.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it
it's
seems
not
like,
something that I've revisited, but I probably will have to see the second one.
yeah, I would say rewatch it because it still holds up.
Yeah.
I just did last week, I think.
Oh, nice.
Like threw it on in the background type thing, and it really is extremely well done.
Yeah. Well, Denis Villeneuve is a great filmmaker.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. He's like one of those directors that I would like to sit down and watch all of his stuff, because all the stuff I've seen has just knocked me out. Yeah, at least visually, if not, whole cloth.
Yep.
But like Blade Runner 2049, I think is a masterpiece, and Arrival. Seen Arrival?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
highly recommend Arrival. Huge,
Nice.
huge recommendation. So good, so good.
So he's
One of the
like
best-
single-handedly reviving sci-fi as a genre.
Yeah, he's doing a real good job of it, I think. Yeah. So yeah. Dune Part 2.
The like bringing back the old cast, and I know you were trying to move on, but it's just like
Oh, it's
in
okay.
that trailer, like the hits of the way Chalamet and Brolin, like even in the small bit we see of Halleck, like Gurney Halleck and Paul like reuniting,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh yeah, they've got a bunch of really good actors doing this too.
Yeah, I know. And who is Florence Pugh is also
Yep,
in this
Florence
one. She
Pugh is
wasn't in the
added.
first one.
Austin, I can't remember his name.
Butler.
Yep, Austin Butler is playing Harkonnen's
Elvis?
son. Yes, Elvis is showing up on Arrakis.
That'd be great.
But he's playing, so that gladiatorial scene.
Yeah.
That's Austin Butler.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
he's the
Wow.
the bald,
Yeah.
like the bald
Oh,
knife
wow.
fighter.
Jeez.
That is going. You'll love that whole plot line in the movie.
Cool.
So, and that whole
we're also-
the homeworld of the Harkonnens seems like it's going to be very interesting how it's filmed, and it's all like black and white,
Yeah, like
and
black and white. Yeah. It looked really great.
that's going to be great.
Yeah. And I just thought of I thought there was another actor just more of Zendaya is what
Oh,
I was
yeah.
saying. Like, because she's like seen as a vision in the first one like twice, and maybe she has a line at the very end, but
Right.
she seemed like she has a lot to do in this. Like, she's like fiercely screaming her lines like passionately. I don't know. It's just
Oh, yeah.
like she seems like it doesn't seem like they're wasting her in this at all.
No, absolutely not. And
Yeah.
the way, like, yeah, the whole Chani and Paul thing is going to get developed. Like I said at the beginning, this whole everything that was a setup in part 1 is going to get ramped to 11 in part 2.
Gonna get paid off. Good.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
it's going to be fun.
Cool. Comes out this fall, am I right? November?
Yep, I think November.
Awesome. Something that's not coming out in November and is not coming out for a long time. Fantastic Four. Our pal Jeff Snyder reporting on unconfirmed reports, shall we say, that Adam Driver, somebody that has been rumored to be in talks, rumored to have been offered the role of Mr. Fantastic, His name has been connected to for Miss Fantastic for a really long time. Like I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
other people come and go for other characters, but like he's been pretty consistent. I mean, this comes after we've heard interviews of Bob Iger talking about how Disney's going to stop spending so much money and they're not going to just be like throwing money at Marvel and Star Wars anymore. They're just going to, they have to make something good. They're not going to greenlight anything until it's really good. They're tightening their belts. Think of all of this. It's seemingly, it might be the case that Adam Driver may not be attached to the role anymore of Mr. Fantastic and may have priced himself out, asking for too much money. That Disney may not be looking for big names anymore because they don't want to shell out the money for big names. So they might be going for maybe a lesser known or someone that's not quite on the same level as Adam Driver, although it's not like Adam Driver is a huge box office draw other than being in Star Wars. But they're saying this might be similar to what happened with Emma Stone. We heard that Emma Stone was offered, they wanted Emma Stone to be Sue Storm and that she was too expensive. So I don't know. This has been going on a long time. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't think they should have announced this movie. I think they should have kept holding off on this movie. Because there's just been so many expectations are growing. It's going to be hard for this movie to like please fans, I think, in like growing expectations, growing fan hostility, like, all over the place. It's going to be interesting when this news finally drops.
Yeah, this whole saga is like we've had a couple of different movies where we've gone back and forth on casting and hearing it's going and then not going and then going and then not going, and it's like it's one thing for a Blade, it's another thing for Fantastic Four. Like they've had 3 directors at this point.
I think so. Yeah
And
that sounds right.
A plethora of various actors connected to it. So what are you doing?
I don't know. I saw someone, I shared it with you. I saw somebody on Twitter say Superman Legacy was announced, less than 6 months ago and already has its 2 leads. Fantastic Four was announced 2 years ago and we don't know who's playing them. Like, what is going on? And, obviously, like, the 2 companies are in different places. James Gunn is the new president of his own film studio, and he wrote a Superman movie, and he's in charge of casting. So, it's easier. Over at the Marvel, I mean, Kevin Feige's got a lot to say, but I feel like there's other levels of, he's not necessarily is he? I guess. I feel like he makes a lot of top decisions like that. Like, there's tons of directors that come onto Marvel movies without knowing who their cast is going to be. But anyway, like there's Kevin Feige, there's the directors, there's producers, and Marvel, there's a lot of pressure on Fantastic Four. There's been 2 versions of Fantastic Four that haven't done well, so they need to do it right. They need to take their time, and a big part of that is casting.
Oh, there's 3.
So
do you remember the 90s?
Oh, well, that never actually came out. The Roger Corman one.
Yeah.
So bad, they didn't release it.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four movie that was made in the 90s. There's stills online. Check it out. They're rough looking.
Real bad.
Rough looking. Yeah. So yeah, Marvel's kind of like, I don't know. It's the pressure on Marvel to announce either a Fantastic Four or an X-Men project after they bought 20th Century Fox was insane. They still haven't said anything about X-Men, so I feel like they probably could have just told us like it's going to be a while, so sit tight.
Right.
But I felt like I feel like they felt like they had to give us something. They were closer on Fantastic Four. They announced it. But I don't know. Now all this, like, there's going to be so much uproar if they don't like fans don't like the cast, or then by the time the movie comes out, who knows? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. They have to get it right, and it's a hard needle to thread.
Oh yeah.
When they already whiffed it a couple times.
Yeah, they're gonna have a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I just don't know. It's like you said, why would they push this as hard as they did if they don't have any direction for it?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, maybe
who's
they thought
currently
they did like
attached as who's the director right now?
the
Is
guy
it?
that did is it the guy that did WandaVision, Matt Shackman?
Yes,
Is
that
that who?
sounds
No,
right.
no,
Or
is
no,
it?
he's writing.
I don't remember. John Watts left. It was going to be John Watts, and he left.
Huh. Well, it was going to be John Watts, and then who the hell else was? There was somebody else in the interim that they had tossed at it, and then
I think it's the guy. I think it's this Matt Shackman guy.
yeah, it might be.
Are
But
you
either
looking it up?
yeah, it's rough.
This is great podcasting right now.
Yeah.
Great podcasting.
Hey,
Oh.
it could be worse. It could be the Josh Trank version,
That's true.
which no shade on Josh Trank, but that was bad.
The first half of that movie's not bad.
No.
And then it's like they give you 1 year later, and then it's just this
It
total dog
it
shit.
crystal skulls the hell out of it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
We're gonna turn that into a verb now.
Yeah. I think in general, I would love to get away from studios. I guess I'm talking mostly about Marvel, but I mean, DC had a big problem with this before they were even off the ground, and they shot themselves in the foot. But I'm kind of getting tired of the, 3 years from now, we're going to make this movie. And 4 years from now, we're going to make like, I don't need you to tell me your next 10 movies. Like, tell me your next 3.
Right.
And so I'll get excited about
Give me
those.
next
and then
year.
Tell me another
Give me
3.
2 years, maybe.
Yeah. Because we're getting exhausted by the Fantastic Four, and we haven't even seen them yet. We don't know who they are. We don't know about it besides one, like a logo that we got a year and a half ago or 2 years ago or whatever.
That was literally a 4.
Yeah, and it's not even that impressive.
Right.
Like, that's all it is.
I mean, yes,
all
that's
it
the
is.
Fantastic Four's logo, but still.
Yeah. Yeah. Wild. Anyway, so we'll see what happens there. We got one comic story. Marvel has announced a new White Widow limited series, a 4-issue limited series from writer Sarah Gailey and artist Alessandro Miracolo. The series is described as a groundbreaking new chapter in the life of one of Marvel's most enigmatic.
Just go with it, man. Just go with it.
Enigmatic superheroes, super spy, rogue agent, shadow of the Black Widow. Yelena Belova has been many things, but striking out as a hero in her own right is new to her. Now that she's finally free to choose her own path, who will she become? White Widow. Florence Pugh's character, sister of Natasha Romanov or Natalia Romanova, whether you're a comics reader or a movie watcher. Yelena was created by Devin Grayson and J.G. Jones in 1999, but didn't start calling herself the White Widow until Kelly Thompson's run on Black Widow in 2021. I did not realize that. I thought she was the White Widow for a lot longer than that.
No, and that was Kelly Thompson's Eisner winning run.
That's right. Yeah, which I should really pick up.
Yeah, I was thinking about that actually the other day. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was I was reading something about Thunderbolts that got me on Belova, and then I was like, oh yeah, should probably pick up that Thompson run. I
know. I have a couple issues of it, and it's great, but I would love to read the whole thing.
Yep.
And it's Kelly Thompson and her whole team that was on Black, or I don't know. It's, she's the one that's doing the new Birds of Prey run at DC too. So
yeah,
awesome.
she's great.
Agreed. This week in your local comic book store, we got Adventures of Superman John Kent #5, Barnstormers #1, Captain America 750. I think that's the start of a new run, and they're back to the old numbering. Daredevil #13, Doctor Who Doom #1, Draculina Blood Simple #4, Extreme Venomverse #4, Fantastic Four #9, Gargoyles #7, Heat Seeker Gun Honey Series 1, Junk Rabbit #4. Oh, Night Terrors. DC is launching this new event called Night Terrors, and they're all horror stories. I don't know if they cross over. Awesome. I think there's a crossover thing, but it's like, I don't know. Look at some of the artwork for it. It's all insane. They're really leaning into the horror aspect of it. They're going above and beyond. So a bunch of Night Terror issues dropped this week, including Night Terrors Batman, Night Terrors Black Adam, Night Terrors First Blood, Night Terrors Joker, Night Terrors Poison Ivy, and Night Terrors Ravager. And that's going to be kind of an ongoing event. Kong, The Great War #2, Love Everlasting, number 9. Peacemaker Tries Hard, number 3. I love this book. Pop Scars, number 4. Spawn, number 343. Star Trek Defiant, number 5. Star Wars 36. Star Wars Yoda, number 9. The Pink Elephant, number 1. Weird Work, number 1. X-Men, number 24. And X-Men Before the Fall, Sinister 4, number 1. Lots of books in your local comic book store this week. Steve, I know I said it, but I really love that Peacemaker book. It's way better than I ever thought it would be. It just feels like more of the show, and it makes me want to rewatch the show. I would highly recommend to people that that are fans of that show, if they want more of it, and you don't want to wait till 2026 for Peacemaker season 2. Pick up Peacemaker Tries Hard. The first 2 issues are out now, and issue 3 comes out this week. Well worth it.
I still forget how good that show was.
I know. I think I'm going to rewatch it.
Yeah.
That's
That was
only like
great.
8 episodes, and it was great. It was great. Yeah. Any of these on your pull list, or any other comic-related readings you'd like to report?
Nothing on the pull list, although Doctor Who Doom just confuses the hell out of my brain.
I know. I almost read it weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Doom who? So yeah, no. Daredevil's still on my poll, so
Nice.
I will be getting at least one book this week. Did catch up on the Darth Vader Black, White, and Blood, or Black, White, and Red, or whatever they call it for his.
I picked it up. I picked it up. I haven't read it yet.
Yep. It's great. Like those little micro anthology ish, whatever they want to call it, are always fun.
Agreed.
Did catch up on Yoda as well, so I guess that's getting pulled. So yeah, I'm just completely lying to you, and there's at least 2 things on my pull list. What the hell was the name of the? James Tynion put out a book for Dark Horse last week.
I got it. But again, I haven't read it yet. The something
Curious
life
something curious or
something life of Christopher Chaos, and it was like the opposite word of an opposite word to chaos. The unthinkable,
oddly pedestrian.
Oddly pedestrian, yeah. The oddly pedestrian life of Christopher Chaos. I picked it up.
Looks looks good. I don't know.
It does. Funky Town said they got a bunch of that book, and I got the second to last one when I was in there like Thursday or
Oh, wow.
Friday or something. Like, yeah.
I mean,
really
Tynion's
popular.
name is just it'll sell anything at this point.
Yeah. For sure. What else was I gonna say? I got the second issue of Brave and the Bold. But I
Oh,
haven't been
nice.
able to really sit down and read it yet.
Oh, I did make it
we were out of
through.
town this weekend, so I didn't have a ton of time to read. But
Reread some of the One Bad Days, the Clayface and Catwoman.
oh, cool.
So
Yeah, those are good.
Clayface still holds up.
Yeah, Clayface is great. Cool.
Catwoman still
Cool.
holds up too. but
Cool.
All of those were
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, they just came out in hardcovers.
Oh, real?
I think. Yeah, I think you can get like a 1 full volume of all of them, or you get like hard covers of each individual issue in like a cool storage
nice.
kind of box thing. Yeah, pretty cool. We got one shot for you tonight, and this is just an update on the Spawn movie that they announced freaking years ago at this point, 2018 or 19 or something. It was like a really long time ago. And that movie's coming from the studio Blumhouse, known for its terrifying horror movies. Jason Blum, owner of Blumhouse, says that he's expecting a new Spawn movie could hit theaters in 2025. Said what needs to happen is that my fellow friends, the writers and the studios, need to figure out their differences and get back to writing. But we've got a great group of folks putting it together, and my hope is that the movie, my prediction is maybe we'll actually see a Spawn movie in 25. No promises, but that's my prediction. So it's a Spawn movie that was originally going to be written and directed by Todd McFarlane, starring Jamie Foxx. I believe Jamie Foxx is still attached to play the title role. I'm not sure. I think McFarlane may be still writing it. I don't know that he's going to direct it. I think it would be a mistake for him to direct it because he's not a director.
Right.
But Still very interested to see what this ends up looking like, especially if Jamie Foxx is still attached to a character who classically doesn't really talk really that much.
Yeah.
Just looks cool. And also wears a mask covering his face.
Right, which
So,
means you'll inherently get the Secret Invasion treatment, where we're paying these actors a lot of money. We're going to show their face. So I don't
yeah,
know if you noticed
right.
that during, and it's not really spoilers for anything, but I don't know if you noticed during Secret Invasion,
Mhm.
a lot of them are in human guise much more than
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
than they
You
probably
Ben
should be.
Mendelsohn specifically. Yeah. We're yeah, exactly. Like Talos, you are alone in a room with Nick Fury right now. You can relax
Yeah.
if you want to. No, yeah, we're paying Ben Mendelsohn. We're gonna see Ben Mendelsohn's
Yeah.
face. Yeah. And same with what's her face too. Amelia
Kira.
Clarke.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Or
So yeah, there may
sorry,
be
not
like
Kira, Gaia.
Gaia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Wow,
know what
those
you
are two similar names in two different
mean.
universes.
Yeah. Yeah, they might similar. I think they did in the first Spawn movie they made that's bad that came out in the 90s. I believe they did a similar thing where they found reasons for him to take his mask off all the time. But I guess you know what? I haven't read a ton of Spawn comics, so I can't really say that what would be accurate and what wouldn't be accurate. I'm kind of talking about out of both sides of my mouth here, so I don't know.
Wait,
But
Michael
that's the
Jai
update on
White played
Spawn.
Spawn?
He sure did.
Wow. How did I miss
Played the
that
heck out
memo?
of it.
John,
I got a
wow,
I got
John Leguizamo, Martin Sheen,
yeah, it's a good
Teresa
cast.
Randall,
John,
DB Sweeney. Wow.
I got free passes to see a screening of movie Spawn when it came out in 1996 or whenever it was. I went with a friend of mine. And I think at that time I loved it, but clearly looking back on it now, it's terrible. Although John Leguizamo, I think he's great in everything, but I remember him being terrifying as the villain. And it was the first it was one of the first they started using like computer graphics for effects and stuff. And they used like the cape was all CG, and that was like a big deal at the time. Now I'm sure it looks like dog shit.
Oh, probably looks horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's Spawn. I think that's all I got. You got anything else, Steve?
No, I got nothing else.
No, neither. I had a big weekend. Took my son to Legoland. Got back today.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Took my son fishing a couple times. He caught a lot of fish. We're good to go.
Nice.
It's all that matters.
Just to end this on a further nerdy note, I've been reading my wife and I have been taking turns reading my son The Hobbit for the first time. We just started it recently. Tonight we got to the beginning. There it is.
I literally had pulled it out debating whether or not I was going to start reading it to Sebastian.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I thought about it. Yeah, I waited a little extra time because I want to make sure he'd be into it. And he is. And I just had the honor of reading the first page of chapter 5, Riddles in the Dark, to him tonight, in which Bilbo finds the one ring
Nice.
on the floor of a cave. And I was like, ooh, what's this ring doing here?
Weird.
Like, definitely overselling it. Don't forget about that ring that's going to come into play later.
You may need to know this.
Yeah. Yep.
This may set up all of your nerddom. Enjoy.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. That's all I got. Let's wrap this up so I can go to bed.
Okay. Oh, wait. That's not how we do it. All right. Well, in that case, you guys should...
It would have been great, though, if that was
just
the end of
hard
the
cut.
Like, okay. Hard cut off.
I mean, I'm the one that controls that. I could have very easily done that.
Could. You still can.
I
We can just
could.
cut all this right now.
But instead, I'm going to ask people to like and subscribe and review us on Apple Podcasts if you could. Leave some comments on YouTube. Do whatever you do. Subscribe there. Click the bell for notifications. I think it's a bell still. I don't know.
I think it's a bell. Yeah.
They change these platforms so much, as we can see from the Twitter falling through the dumpster.
Jesus, I know.
So we're I guess primarily an Instagram podcast now.
I guess.
So the Multiverse Report on Instagram and various other socials. Hopefully Blue Sky at some point. We'll see. We'll see when that happens.
Give us an invite if you have one.
Exactly.
Invite us.
Beyond that, themultiverseport.com, multiverseport@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of us.
That's right. So until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you in the multiverse.